My mother-in-law spent years trying to control my marriage, deciding what I should cook, what I should wear, even when I should have children. But when she pushed too far, I let her dig her own grave, and the day her lies were exposed in front of everyone, she finally lost the one thing she cherished most: control. I'm Leena D'Souza, 31, originally from Goa but living in London with my husband Ryan. We'd been married for 3 years, and to the world, we looked like the perfect couple: smiling photos, cozy dinners, and a life most people would envy. But behind that picture-perfect image was a storm, and it had a name: Margaret D'Souza, my mother-in-law. From the very first day, she made it clear this was her family, and I was just a guest. She'd show up unannounced, criticize my cooking, rearrange my kitchen, and constantly remind me how Ryan loved his mother's recipes better. If I planned a vacation, she'd call him crying about how lonely she was. If I suggested something for the house, she'd twist it. Oh, Leena wants to change everything. She doesn't like the home I built for my son. At first I tried to be patient. Ryan adored his mom and she played the role of the sweet, fragile widow perfectly. But when she realized I wouldn't fight back, she began to poison our marriage quietly. It started small. One evening, Ryan came home unusually cold. He said, "Mom told me you said she's a burden. Did you actually say that, Leena?" I was stunned. I'd never said such a thing. In fact, I'd invited her over just the night before. That's when I realized she was testing boundaries, planting doubts. She'd tell Ryan things like, asterisk, "Leena doesn't take care of you properly. Asterisk, she's changing you, Ryan. I barely recognize my own son. Asterisk, she's keeping me away from my family." And every time Ryan questioned me, it chipped away at my peace and at his trust. Then came the money drama. I managed our finances carefully, but suddenly, large withdrawals began appearing. When I confronted Ryan, he said, "Mom needed a few things. I sent her some money." It wasn't some, it was nearly £3,000, our house renovation savings. That night, I cried in silence. I realized this wasn't just manipulation, it was control masked as love. And Ryan? He was too blind to see it. The breaking point came 6 months later during a family dinner. Margaret had flown in to stay with us for a few days, which turned into 6 weeks of torture. Every morning she'd criticize me in little ways. "Oh, you don't know how to make parathas? I thought Indian women were experts. You shouldn't wear that color, dear. It doesn't suit your skin tone. Ryan, don't you think Leena spends too much time at work?" I bit my tongue until that night. During dinner, Margaret smiled sweetly and said, "Leena, I heard you told your mother that you're unhappy in this marriage. Is that true?" The table went silent. Ryan looked at me with shock. I could feel my blood pressure spike, my hands trembling as I realized she was lying again. I calmly said, "No, Margaret, that's not true." But she doubled down. "Oh, come on, Leena, don't lie. I saw the text on your phone when you left it in the living room." That was the moment I decided enough. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. For the next few weeks, I pretended to play the role of the obedient daughter-in-law, polite smiles, endless tea refills, and gentle, "Yes, mama," responses. But behind that calm, I was setting a trap. I started recording her conversations, her whispers when Ryan wasn't around. She'd say things like, "Ryan will never believe you. You'll always be an outsider in this family. When you're gone, I'll make sure he finds a woman who respects his mother." Each recording was time-stamped. Each one painted her real face: cruel, manipulative, vindictive. Margaret wasn't very tech-savvy. She'd accidentally leave her phone unlocked sometimes. One day, I saw messages she sent to Ryan's aunt saying, "Leena's too ambitious for her own good. I'll make sure Ryan knows she doesn't care for him." I took screenshots quietly and sent them to myself. Remember the missing savings? I went through our joint account statements. Every loan Ryan sent her was transferred to her credit card, where she was buying jewelry and spa memberships. She wasn't struggling. She was spoiling herself using our money. Now, I had it all: motive, manipulation, and money trail. But I didn't want to simply confront her privately. She'd deny, cry, and gaslight Ryan again. I needed to expose her publicly at a time and place where she couldn't twist the story. A month later, it was Margaret's birthday. She planned a big dinner at our home, inviting all her relatives, cousins, aunts, even Ryan's colleagues. It was her perfect stage to perform as the loving mother, the doting victim. That night she wore her finest dress and gave a speech about family love, throwing passive-aggressive jabs my way like, "A wife should always put family first, not her ego." Everyone chuckled awkwardly. I just smiled. Because I knew what was coming. After dinner, I stood up and said, "Since it's your birthday, Margaret, I wanted to give you something special." Ryan smiled, expecting a gift. Margaret looked intrigued. I turned on the TV, connecting my phone via Bluetooth. What played wasn't a gift, it was truth. The first audio clip echoed in the living room. "Ryan will never believe you. You'll always be an outsider." Gasps filled the room. Margaret froze. Her face turned ghost white. The next clip played. "When she's gone, I'll make sure he finds a woman who respects his mother." Ryan's jaw tightened. Then came the screenshots, messages projected on the TV, showing how she called me a social climber and a gold digger. Finally, I held up the bank statements. "And this," I said, "is where our house renovation money went: spa treatments and gold bangles." The room fell dead silent. Ryan stared at his mother, his voice trembling. "Mom, tell me this isn't true." But she had no words. She just started crying, the same tears she'd always used as her weapon. Only this time, no one bought it. That night ended with shouting, apologies, and the collapse of her years-long manipulation. Ryan moved her out of our home the next day. For weeks, she tried to reach me crying, begging, saying she didn't mean it. But I didn't respond. The family's sympathy, once hers, turned to me. Her friends stopped visiting. Her social circle whispered about how Margaret finally got caught. Ryan took months to fully process everything. But one night, he turned to me and said softly, "I'm sorry, Leena. I should have believed you earlier." And that apology, that realization, was my real revenge. Because Margaret didn't just lose her image. She lost her power. You can manipulate people for a while, but you can't manipulate truth forever. Now, every time I walk into my peaceful home, I smile knowing that I didn't have to scream or fight. I just let her lies destroy themselves. And to every woman dealing with a controlling in-law, sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's strategy.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one on the left, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.